yeah, and the other guy that was told that I was pregnant then said to him, yeah, you rather start with her because actually she's pregnant. And then they started laughing very, very, very loud. And then he was like, yeah, we always had that women who are pregnant are nice, so we are going to start with you. Come now, we're going to start. Then that is where then they started raping us. My name is Karabo. My surname is April. I was born in White City, Jabavu at Baragwanath. I'm the only daughter of my parents, both my mother and father. I was raped some time back while I was pregnant by 6 guys, and they kidnapped me and they took me for 3 days. It was this day that I was from home with my friends, with my 2 friends going somewhere. So on our way across the street, we came across 3 cars. Those cars had guys, 2 in each car. And then randomly they stopped in front of me. They had firearms and they were speeding, their cars were speeding highly so. So surprisingly, they took me and they threw me in the car, in the first car, and then the 2 cars were following us. Then we drove off. That time we were at White City. We were from White City, and then we drove off to Central. Somebody who knows Soweto very well will know that Central. After Central, it was Muletsane. And then the car was very, very in a high speed. I found a lady in the car who was sitting there, but she was quiet. I was confused because while I was crying, screaming, shouting, doing everything that I could do to release, to get released in that car, she was just quiet. And while we were driving, because I was making a lot of noise in that car, then the other guy decided to just turn, and he assaulted me with a firearm on my right eye. Then I collapsed and I could not recognize where we were going anymore. But while the car were moving, after some hours, after some hours, I regained conscious. When I regained conscious, I found myself still in those cars, spitting. The guys were smoking in the car. The 2 guys were smoking, making noise, laughing. Music was very high. And then on our way, I think we were somewhere at Mapetla. We came across another lady there. And then the lady, they decided to stop the car the way they stopped the car when they took me. They used the same way. And then they tried to take that lady, and then unfortunately the lady slipped out of the t-shirt, and they got very annoyed, very, very annoyed, and then they shot her, and then she was left there. Till today, I don't know whether the lady survived or the lady went to a hospital or she was critically injured. I knew nothing till today, and that is something that I would love to know some other time if I can come across that lady, or maybe somebody who saw the incident that day. But unfortunately, they came back to the car and then we drove off. We left that lady there. Nobody cared about what's gonna happen, what's happening to her. Then we left. We drove off. We were driving around Soweto because it was my. I've been away from Soweto for the longest time. I went to Kimberley to attend school at Kimberley. So I think I had a year being back in Soweto. So I was no more familiar with the places anymore. So that is why I cannot even mention actually where were we at that time. But we ended up being at Nicefield Hostel. When we were at Nicefield Hostel, we did not know what was the arrangement there, but when we arrived at Nicefield Hostel, the cars packed, And then they went out of the car, and then it looked like they were going to negotiate with the hostel dwellers to go and negotiate that they are selling people. Because it's now that we know that there's human trafficking. Back then, we did not even know that it's human trafficking, and it did not even register in our mind that we are going to be sold at hostel. But anyway, we arrived at hostel. They went out of the cars. They left us in the car. That is where we started talking with the lady that I found in the car. I told her my name. She told her name. She told me her name, and then we started communicating. And then I understood that time that she was taken from next to the gate from her home, and her mom saw when they took her. And then I raised the point that, I don't know what's going to happen with us, but I am pregnant. I'm 6 months pregnant. And then we started getting very emotional, and then we started trying to pray. We prayed, but we could not get to the end of the prayer because we were disturbed, because people were talking outside, and we wanted to know what is happening outside. We wanted to know what is our fate. Are they going to take us? Are they going to sell us? What is going to happen with us? So we could not pray. So while we were in the car, one of the guys left the meeting outside, the negotiating meeting outside. Then he came back to the car. When he comes to the car, he opens the car where I was seated, and then he says to me, "Come out of the car." And then the lady was like, "Where do you want to take her?" And then he says, "Why do you want to know?" Then he said, "No, because I want to know." Then he said, "Okay, no, let me leave her. Let me take you rather. And then I will show you where I wanted to take her." Then he came on the other side of the car, and then he opened the car. When he opens the car, he pulled her out of the car and then put her in the other car. And then while I was seated there, and then I could hear that they are starting to rape her, because I could hear now she's starting to cry. I could not even look back to see what is happening, but I just froze and seated there and not knowing what to do. And then after that, she came back. We could not even say to each other what happened, because automatically I know that they started raping her, and then she could not even say to me that they raped. It was obvious. Then we held each other, and then we started crying, and that is where I knew that our fate is like going to end here. And then I started now to panic more, and I started now to know that these guys, they are going to rape us, and they are going to sell us to the hostel dwellers, and then we're not gonna see our families anymore, because it was already late. It was around 7:30. I did not have a watch, but it was very dark. Okay, then after that, apparently they could not agree with the prices that they are selling us. So they came back to the car, and then after coming back, then we drove off again. We were driving around Soweto. I remember there was a time where we drove. It was a colored area, if not Khaseg, I don't know correctly where we were, but it was a colored area. That is where they were going to buy drugs. Okay, then they drove, then we came back to a shady shack. They took us there. When we arrived there, they started undressing us. When we just arrived, because they had their drugs, they had their food, they had everything, they were making noise, they were excited, rejoicing about the girls that they found, and probably now they are excited that now they are going to start the engaging with raping us. So they came, they undressed us. Unfortunately, they took our clothes. We could not tell where they took our clothes to. And then they started telling us that you're going to sleep on the floor. That was me. And then the lady was on the bed, because it was just a shack. There was nothing there. There was no furniture. It was just a bed. So I slept on the floor, and then the other lady slept on top of the bed. And then they started smoking, and then the shack was full of smoke. full of, they were drinking, the music was high, they were laughing out loud, and it was like we were now seated there naked without clothes. And then this other one, there's a boss within themselves. And then that boss, I recognized him because he had an operation starting from the chest down to his belly. Then he was the one who was taking control, and he was the one who was giving instructions as to say, whom am I going to start to rape? And then when they were engaging and talking about raping, then he said he wanted to start to rape me. Then the other guy said, yeah, and the other guy that was told that I was pregnant, then said to him, yeah, you rather start with her because actually she's pregnant. And then they started laughing very, very, very loud. And then he was like, yeah, we always had that women who are pregnant are nice, so we are going to start with you. Come now, we're going to start. Then that is where then they started raping us. When he was busy raping me, the other one was raping the other lady on the bed, and so they were raping us simultaneously. So when I was being raped, she was being raped as well. And then when they were changing turns, when the other one comes out from this one, then she was coming from me. Then it was that thing up until the six of them get tired, and it was like a competition as to say who has done the best and who has done the longest time of them. And it happened the whole night. The whole night it was that thing up until we got exhausted, up until we could not even cry, up until we could not even say anything, because we were trying to fight at first, but we felt that fighting is not going to take us anywhere, because we are at a place that we don't recognize. Firstly, we are with people that we don't even know. We are with people that are not going to give us a chance to get out of this house. So let us just give in. And we could not even see each other because I was down there and then she was up on the bed. So it went on it was first day in the morning. The same thing happened. They smoke, they make noise, they laugh, and then they're starting the routine again. And then it will be given permission as to say, okay, you can now start with this one, and then I'll start with this one. So it's something that went on the whole morning, the whole day, the whole evening. The following day as well, it went on like that. There was a time on the third day where I could not now feel the baby. I just felt that my baby is now gone, because I could not feel him kicking. I could not feel the heartbeat. I could not feel anything. So I just put my heart in place as to say, I don't have a baby anymore in my tummy. So the worst part, when the boss started raping me, I think it was the third day, and then when I was like tired, I could not do anything. So he was like dragging me everywhere that he wanted me. Then he ended up pulling my arms up to my head and then tying them with a shoelace, because he had a shoelace, and then tied my hands up to my head as to say, now I am getting, he says he's getting annoyed because now I am not responding to whatever that he wants me to do. And then he started raping me again. And then when I was like feeling, because I was drained, when I was feeling drowsy, he would take the gun and hit me on my belly as to say, you said there's a baby here, there's no baby, and if this baby does not cry, I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing, because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. What I'm doing, I will never ever stop it. And then it was like it happened the way it happened for all 3 days. And their routine, it was like in the morning, the three would go out and probably go do robberies and stuff like those, because they will come up with things that they have stolen, that they have stolen from I don't know, from the houses or what, but they would come back with things. And then after that, the following morning, the other 3, we will be left with the other 3. The following morning, the other 3 will go as well, as they were like rotating like that. Then this other morning that the 3 went out to go and do their things as a norm. Then the lady on the bed asked me, Karabo, are you still alive? And I said yes, because we could not talk. And then she handed her hand down there to me, and then I hold her hand as to say, yes, we're still alive and we are still here. Then the lady said, we need to make a plan to run away because they are now sleeping and drunk. We need to make a way of going out here. Then she came down, and then I was like, how are we going to do that? Then she tried to shake this other one with her foot to see if he is still asleep. And then we felt that they are not shaking. Then she decided, she came down, and then she took a key from the pocket of the other one that was sleeping there. And then we tiptoed around them. Then we opened the door. And then, because we had no clothes, there were t-shirts, this old t-shirts, only white t-shirts, the Alma, the t-shirt that guys will wear, the ANC t-shirt and t-shirt like those. Then we got 2 t-shirts. Then we put on those t-shirts. Then we opened the door and tiptoed. And then the lady that I was with, she was very brave. She was very, very, very brave. And I think she was younger than me, because I was plus minus 22. And then probably she was 20. She was 19, if not 20. She was younger than me. That is what I remember. But she was very brave. And then we managed to run. It was 3:30 in the morning. I think it was the 4th day. So we ran away. Then we ran. And then when we were at the gate, we decided to split ways, not to go the same way, because she said to me, Karabo, find me and I will find you. Then I promised that I will find you. Wherever I get help, I will remember you. And as well as you, if we get some help anywhere, remember me. Then we split. And then we ran. And then I ran. I don't know how I got home, but finally I saw myself being home 3:30 in the morning. And then I found my mom and dad praying. They were praying for their only daughter, whom they don't know where she was for 3 days, who is highly pregnant. And then that is where I got home safe. And the following day, I decided, my mom took me, not even the following day, after 5 in the morning, we went to Ntabiseng, because my mom opened a case of missing person. And but we went first to the clinic to Baragwanath in Ntabiseng, where I did not get any help, where I did not get a fair treatment, where I was treated with disgrace, I could put it like that, because people who were supposed to counsel me, they were just they were putting pain on top of pain. Then I decided that, Mama, let's go, because things that are happening in this room, I'm not gonna be well. We rather go home. And then we left, and then we went back to the police station, because my mom opened a missing person case. Then we added the charges with rape and assault and kidnap. So after that, we came back home, and I was not well, but I had to carry on, because there was this baby that was coming, and I had only 3 months to see that I am nurturing this baby, so that when I go to labor, I would be on my feet again. Then I did not even want to know what is happening about the case. I did not follow the case. I did not go anywhere. I was just worried with the baby that I was carrying, so that I can be I could just regain strength again and have this baby. So 3 months later, I gave birth to a baby boy. His name is Ulebugeng, meaning give thanks unto the Lord. Unfortunately, I could not get hold of the lady that I was with. We communicated firstly, I think for just a month or so, but after I have given birth, when I wanted to communicate with her as well, we had no cell phones back then. We used landlines, the phones that we were using at home. So when I decided to speak to her mother, unfortunately, the lady committed suicide. She could not take the pain. She could not take the trauma. She could not take everything that happened on that day. Then I gave birth. Then I continue with life. On my journey, when I was growing, I was very depressed in my life, and that was something that I could not even share with anybody. The rape case I could not share with anybody. It's only I was comfortable with my mom to talk about it. And then my mom passed on last year, and that is where I realized that I have no one to share the story anymore with. So I rather put my story on a book. I took a pen and a paper and I started writing my journey. And then I wrote a book, and the name of my book is Surviving the Den of Rapists. I survived because God gave me a job after my incident. I worked at a certain police station. I worked with victims of crime. And I did. The person who put me there did not know my story, but because God has a purpose for everything, I was put in that office, and it was for a purpose of me to heal that process. Because I worked with victims of crime, I worked with victims of rape, and their journey healed my journey. Every day when I spoke to them, and when they were heartbroken, and when they were crying, it was me on the other side who's saying, I know the pain that you're going through. I know why are you crying. I know the pain, the tears that you are going through. When I had to accompany a rape case to Ntabiseng, I did it wholeheartedly, because I knew in my case I was not accompanied by anybody. There was no police official, there was no counselor, there was nobody. So when I did those things, I did them wholeheartedly. I wanted people to feel comforted in their journeys. So I worked in that office for 19 years, and it assisted me to heal and to talk about my journey today. Hi, my name is Karabo April, and I have been through the most.